So first, let's make sure we are on the same page, and F10, that's render settings right here. You see the teapots are up there, render setup, or F10 to open up. Make sure we are on the same page, and this will be default scanline renderer. Indeed, if you go preset, it's even better. You just have to pick 3D Studio Max Scanline, no advanced lighting, draft, and that will be the most basic and easiest to acquire, and the least resource demanding. That's something that's so stable and a must work for everyone. And now you just load that up, okay, and then we will be on the same page. Well, of course, most of the time we're not gonna do a small image like 640 by 480, but then we just leave it like that now, just to save time, and then that will be it. Then you can press C, or just click on the camera view, the viewport, and go into the render cam that we have. So, and quickly hit Shift Q or F9 to get the picture rendered. And in case it's washed out like black or totally dark or anything, then you might have to go into the environment and effects. Where you can get that is you just go into any viewport and select nothing. You don't have to select anything, just activate any viewport and press your 8 on the keyboard. That's the number 8, not on the numpad, but above your U and I key, and then it will pop up. So this is I think it's under rendering menu. Yes, that's it. So number 8, environment. Okay, call that up, and then you will see exposure control. Now we go to no exposure control. No exposure control. So just to keep things simple, and you should have something like this. Alright, it's a little different than what we had before, but anyway, so let's start from here. So what we have now, we haven't have any lights fixtures here, but we still see things, so it's a little weird, isn't it? That's the foolproof feature, if you will, for 3D Studio Max, supported when it's supported in the Scanline engine. If you want to dig deeper, it's actually shown in the viewport configuration. So if you go views, viewport configuration, and if you go into visual style and appearance here, now you have this kind of illuminate with default lights. So something like that. Anytime you don't create, or you have zero, no light texture in your scene, and the default light is gonna turn on for you. So that's why we still see something out of a closed box. There's a low light source and totally dark closed box vision, a room like this, no doors, no windows, there's no lights, not even sunlight in this world, nothing. We still see something, just for the sake of preview and minimum render, just for your convenience. But we're not satisfied. We're not happy with such tasteless, really low resolution representation of some design that people do. So yes, you have it now. Right now we are going to put some lights into this in today, and that's the first page of the simplest forms you can get. It is because it is a complex concept, so why not go at its simplest form, and then we get trained up on all the principles before we head on to more complex systems like mental rays you have, or other render engines just for rendering, like RenderMan or V-Rays. So we want to light this properly. What we had was really boring. No volume, we can't tell tones, and no shadows. Well, some shadows on the statue because some good material, but not for the room. So we have something that to take care of is we create some lights. Maybe I could do a simple one here, right? Create standard lights because it's scan light, the simplest form, so we're gonna stick with the easiest ones, the standard lights. And omelet is just like what we used to call a point light. Okay, so it passes no direction. All the light rays coming from one point. The smallest entity in this three-dimensional space is 1 point. All lights coming from this point. There's no direction, so every like 360 spheres, like explosion, it goes in all direction. So if I put anywhere, just do a rendering, and it will be so strong to see the shadow and direction. Well, as I said, direction is not important as in the light source as omelet light, but then where you put it is still valid. So that's why, exactly why, it makes the position prime and the most important factors that you really have to consider. Photographers, they use light panels, right? And why they use light panels? Because they want like what we call an area light, soft light, so even and big that we don't get weird shadows like we do in this picture, because the contrast is way high, right? It's way high, and the shadow is too dark, so we don't like this, and we try to get a softer approach or effect. So we need to do some light panels. Okay, one of these does not work, but how about that? Make a copy, well, instance, better yet. How about say 7 of these with the original, so that makes it 8, and even more. Okay, another column or rows. Okay, so if I make so many of these, well, I don't have to make so many, but then the most important point in here is actually spread them out, making into a group, and then spread it out. You know, so you must get that the point here is to cover the object as much as spread out as you could, to make your light box or light panel as soft as it gets. You have this exposure control wrongly set. Another good reason is that you turn off your lights, but you also killed the default lights, because any lights exist, the default light will not come on. Alright, go back to here. So remember, I have one multiplier, that's the power of your light here. Okay, so I'm going at second element now. Remember, the first most important is the position of your omelet, and second is the power. Now I have, well, I used to have 1, but now I have what? How many? 8 times 4 is 30. So I have 32 of these. I have 32 omelet lights, and that's 32 times brighter than the original, and it takes a lot longer to render a rubbish image. You can see, well, it's not rubbish, it's just all too bright. It's washed out. Even one light gave me so strong image. Now 32 times is totally off. So what would have to be done is that you change the power to a very low number, say 0.01, okay, and times that with 32 is, well, then it will be just 0.32. So let's see what that gives me. Of course, because of the number of lights, it's going to take longer to render, but it's worth it, trust me, because if I just raise it up step by step, so exponentially, pretty much like in the factor of 10th, I've raised it to 0.1 now, so it must be 3.2, right? In total. And let's see. I think that would overpower it, yes, as I thought. But then, one thing drastically improved is the shadows. But one good thing we get is so sharp a shadow, and that is mimicking a perfect, very good light box or light panel in the photography studio. So this is what we are after. So now the only thing you will have to improve is change the power of one of these lights, and then the whole batch will change. So remember when we did the 0.01, it wasn't bright enough. Now 0.1 is too much, so somewhere in between, say 0.05, 0.08, doesn't matter. So the last thing is just that you have to do a try and error and try to just guesstimate and narrow down and nail a number. So then I try 0.1 and 0.01. Now just take an average, and then it will be pretty much done and probably spot on, just like so. Okay, so this is almost done. This is like half done. I have different things to worry about now to fix. First of all, like we said before, the direction makes it too much of a contrast. But if somebody like the mood, but seriously, this is not natural. So we'll have to employ another direction of light source.